So you're not broken because you can't stick to a diet. What if I told you that sticking to diets and having this diet mentality is actually triggering your emotional eating? So if you've ever told yourself, I'm going to start again Monday, I'm going to stick to the diet, and you end up eating all of the foods you restricted, this video is going to help you understand why that's happening. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist specializing in emotional eating. So let's dive in. So what is a diet mentality? Diet mentality, I look at it in a couple of ways. Obviously, if you're on a diet and you keep trying to stick to that diet, the rules and the regulations of that diet, your mentality is going to be really focused on those diet rules. I also see clients who have a diet mentality or a lot of food rules, and they might not think they're on a diet, but we have taken in so many rules about how we should eat. You know, we shouldn't eat past 7 p.m. Our plate should be this small. We should have, more proteins or more fats or more carbs, or we should intermittent fast. All of these words, even though they're not necessarily part of a diet, they could be part of the health noise out there telling you how you should eat. They play into this diet mentality, and you start creating these rules for yourself that are coming from outside of you without actually knowing what your body needs, because you disconnected from your body a really long time ago. Especially as an emotional eater, you started using food to soothe yourself from any discomfort, distress, uncomfortable emotions that were coming up. And then you started using diets to control your out of control behavior with food. So you replace one set of out of control behaviors with food, trying to put in a new set of rules. And along the way, you were never taught about your own body and what you actually need. You keep thinking there's something outside of you that's going to give you the results to make you feel good. So when you're following these outside rules, these diet rules, and you end up not being able to stick to them because you're not listening to your body. So for example, maybe you restrict and you're not eating enough food. That triggers binging. So your brain is literally saying, I need more calories, I need to eat. And that urge, the brain is going to make you think about food. And when you have food, or you've restricted or haven't eaten for a while, and you're going towards these foods and just binging, you're going to feel a lot of shame. And that shame and that, feeling like, oh my God, I screwed up again. I'm a failure. I can't believe I did this. Those feelings, those emotions start making you go towards food to soothe yourself. And you're in this sort of shame emotional eating loop because you binged because you restricted, you couldn't follow the diet rule, and now you're feeling that shame, and the way you know to soothe yourself is to go to the food. And so then it becomes like, what does it matter? I give up, and you're in that cycle. You're in a shame loop, you're emotionally eating, and you just feel stuck, right? So we can see that two clear things are happening. We're trying to fit ourselves into a box to follow these rigid rules of a diet or whatever rules we have in our head. And we're not actually nourishing our body. We don't know how to listen to the cues of our body, how to give our bodies the amount of food we want, or the calories, or whatever it is. And then when we don't do that and we mess up with our rules, we trigger emotional eating. We're back in the shame. We think like, oh my God, I have no discipline. I have no willpower. What's wrong with me? And we get into the shame spiral, and we're back into emotionally eating because now we're using food to soothe ourselves. So you can see how this is compounding this behavior around food that you feel really out of control with. And so of course you can see why this keeps you stuck. You're not actually getting into the root of your issue. You've disconnected from your body, you don't know how to nourish your body, and you've disconnected from your emotions. You don't know how to actually meet your emotional needs, which is driving your emotional eating pattern. And so because it seems like food is the issue, you're constantly trying to fix food, but it's deeper than that. So how do we get to the bottom of this and start resolving it? So when I'm working with clients, we're doing this in a specific way because, as you can see, it looks like it's about the food. It kind of is about the food, and it kind of isn't about the food. So we have to move through all of these layers when we're resolving emotional eating. And so when I'm working with clients, we're first figuring out the first layer, which is, are you even nourishing yourself enough? Do you know what true hunger looks like in your body? Do you know what emotional hunger looks like? And can you discern that? And there is a step-by-step process to start tuning back into your hunger cues, tuning back into, are you actually hungry? Noticing, are you creating meals that are satisfying your hunger on multiple levels? Are they filling you? Are you getting enough calories, nutrients? Does it taste good? And then as you're nourishing your body, you're going to shift into a new way of connecting with your body. And this is not like, oh my God, now I'm out of control, I'm going to gain all this weight. When you actually start listening to your body, it's not asking for donuts and chips, and as you resolve your emotional eating, you're going to see what your body's actually craving. It does want to be healthy. It does want to have good foods in it. And there are specific things we can do, and we can start noticing how you feel and how you're satisfying your hunger, how you're digesting those foods to really see that you're nourishing yourself. As you're nourishing yourself, you don't need to count calories or macros or anything like that. All of these rules fall to the wayside. I haven't emotionally eaten myself for over 10 years, and I don't count calories or macros. I listen to the cues of my body, but it's not some kind of intuitive magic. I started off learning step by step in the same way I guide clients to connecting to my body, to see what foods felt good in my body, to look at some basic principles around food that we've seemed to have disconnected from in our society. From there, we're looking at your triggers to your emotional eating. And if we're able to see where emotional hunger is coming up, we can do the deeper work of resolving those triggers. We can look at those triggers and start getting into the root of them. And I use somatic meditations with clients. We use different tools. If it's triggered by body shame, we might use some different exercises around that, so we can start seeing how we can resolve that trigger. And at the deepest level, if it's a trauma, we work in the body to start pulling out the roots of that, meeting your deeper emotional needs and getting to resolution and getting to a place where food can't fill that hole. So when you feel shame or you feel guilt or whatever emotion's coming up, you're not running to food. You're actually looking at, why was that triggered? What is that saying? Is this something in my life right now? Is this something deeper? And we're resolving it. This is not about distracting from the emotion and just not going to food, going for a walk. We're actually looking at the root of it, because our emotions are information telling us about our life. And when we're able to do this, we can see that we're not going to be binging out of restriction, and we're not going to be emotionally eating out of not looking at our emotions. And we will start seeing our body has an innate intelligence. Hunger is there for a reason. We have hunger signals. We know when we eat a certain amount of food, it feels satisfying. And so our body is going to tell us how much we need to eat, in what quantities, what makes us feel more full and satisfied. And that's the beauty of it. And this is something you weren't taught, because if you're an emotional eater from a very young age, you started using food as a band-aid to meet your emotional needs. And so you didn't learn the cues of your body. And then you started to use diets to try to control how you are with food. And so you didn't learn how to actually nourish your body, meet your deeper needs. So I'll share a little bit about my journey with emotional eating. So I used to think if I had the perfect diet, if I didn't binge, if I didn't whatever, I would finally feel okay. I would have the body that I wanted. I'd be accepted and loved. And it felt like if I could maintain that, I would never feel like a negative emotion. And that's not how life works. I remember sustaining a diet for almost a year, just doing everything perfectly, but I was still triggered into my emotional eating. It still came back, and all of that restriction, it made me, eventually want to binge, want to emotionally eat when I got triggered. And so I had to see that it didn't matter how perfect my diet was, there was more to this. There was something happening with my emotions that would make me want to go to food, even though I wasn't hungry. I was sort of agitated and out of control. And this is what was really frustrating. So I started to really see this pattern play out. And so I had to rebuild my relationship from restriction and dieting and all those things to nourishing my body. And then I had to also start healing my emotional eating when I was triggered and using food as this band-aid. And so all of these pieces needed to come together. There's a little bit more with body acceptance, but I just wanted to focus on those two for this video. And so when I started to really listen to my body, nourish it, and start resolving my emotional eating, that's where I started to hear my body more clearly and I can meet its needs. And I learned that my body, because I was really scared when I started this journey, I didn't know where I'd end up physically. And I noticed my body wanted to be healthy. It wanted to lose excess weight. It wanted to have better digestion and better moods and more confidence. That's where I was moving. And now, obviously, I've been helping women with this. I'm trained as a holistic nutritionist. I was shifting my nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest. And in rest and digest, our body wants to be healthy. It doesn't want to hold on to weight. It doesn't want to be irritable and moody and have poor digestion. It wants to have better health and boost immunity. And that's just a result of our nervous system. That's where our body wants to be when we give it the right conditions. And so if what I'm sharing with you resonates and you want to start this journey, the first step I recommend to clients is to start learning to discern true from emotional hunger. And if you'd like to start on that, I have a free guide called What Are You Truly Hungry For? You can find the link below. And if you're ready to resolve your emotional eating at the root, you're looking for that support and guidance, you can find out more about my emotional eating evolution program. This is a 12-week container with a step-by-step process, with office hours, one-to-one sessions with me, and the deeper tools to actually shift your pattern so that you start feeling ease and confidence around food and in your body in a sustainable way. So the links for those are below. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.